Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the SoundStage Audiophile Podcast. For the past few years, host Jorden Guth has been learning about the who, the what, and the when of hi-fi from the pioneers who made our hobby what it is today, as well as the modern innovators who are constantly striving to push performance to new levels. That's not going to change, but this year he'll also be learning about the other two W's, where your favorite gear is made these days, and why. So with that out of the way, let's see who Jorden is chatting with this time around.
Hello and welcome to the SoundStage Audiophile Podcast. Today we have senior editor of SoundStage Ultra, Jason Thorpe, with us to talk us through his recent trip to Munich, Germany for High-End 2025. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you very much, Jorden.
So, Jason, I'm really excited to have you on. We're kind of taking a break from the theme of Season 4, which is about kind of where and why things get manufactured in different places, to, I think, have a conversation about a really kind of important event in hi-fi, which is High-End 2025.
Yeah, it's moving this year.
It's moving. And next year, it is going to be in Vienna. Am I correct in that?
That's correct.
Okay. So I think it's a really interesting topic because this is essentially the show that sets the stage for most of, well, at least the European and North American markets for hi-fi. So I wanted to bring you on, get your thoughts on the event and kind of hear some of the different things about, well, the vibe and the technology and what's come out, and then what you think this is going to mean for the event going forward. So are you ready?
I sure am.
You want to jump in? Okay. So you've been going to Munich for quite some time, right?
I think this is my fourth year, maybe fifth.
Okay.
Fourth, I'm pretty sure it's fourth.
And does each year have like a vibe, or is it pretty similar from year to year in these events?
It's very, very similar year to year. I was giving this some thought, and it's incredible the capacity of the human mind to just accept situations that are mind-boggling, to just be able to just say, "Oh yeah, this is the same way as it was last year." But the first time you're there, it's the largest event I've ever been to of any sort in my life. And the second, third, fourth, the second year still seems pretty overwhelming. But this year I was just like, yeah, I guess this is just how it is now. And you walk into this place with more audio than you even knew ever existed. And now all of a sudden it's just, okay, we're just doing this again. So the vibe feels very, very similar from year to year. There's not really much in the way that changes, but that certainly shouldn't diminish it in any way, because it's a spectacle.
So it's kind of interesting because you get used to whatever your environment is, right? So it sounds like you just get used to the fact that there's hundreds and hundreds of audio companies all kind of convened in this one convention center in Munich, Germany.
Yeah, literally hundreds. I got the wrap up from the organizers of High-End today, and I think it said something like 500 exhibitors.
Whoa. Okay.
500 and some odd, low 500s, I believe. And when you get there, and it's as you're walking around, we spent 4 days there because the Thursday is trade only, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm pretty sure are trade and consumer visitors. And each day you walk around there, you walk around some of the same halls and the same areas, and you're seeing completely different things because you can't take it all in. So every day it's like this. It's like you're visiting a different show. If you've never been to that, well, I guess you really can't go now because it's no longer there. But I'm assuming that they're going to have a similar sized venue in Vienna. And I highly recommend going to check it out.
So I haven't been to any of these big hi-fi shows, and it's definitely something on my checklist because I feel like that would just be an eye-opening experience. For you, somebody that's gone year after year, was there anything about this one that you were kind of most excited to see or kind of were excited to experience again?
The sandwiches, Jorden. The sandwiches. And I'm not being ironic here. We stay very close to the Munich Central Station, so like Grand Central, the biggest station where all of the main rail lines intersect. And within this station, there's a row of about 5 or 6 vendors that sell with all kinds of different sandwiches. All they sell is sandwiches, some pastries, and coffees, and it's stacked. And this year, I discovered something, a bread it's like a cross between a croissant and a pretzel.
Huh?
Yeah. And it's a pretzelized croissant, whatever that means. And it's filled with salami, cream cheese, and just enough green stuff to help push it through.
Oh, amazing.
And it's astonishing. And I brought home 2 of them through customs, nothing to declare, no meats, no. And gave one to my daughter, and she loved it when I got home. So no, the sandwiches are one of the things that thrill me most about Munich. So I'm just hoping that Vienna will live up to this.
So I don't know if Vienna is known for their food, but it's funny that you mentioned that. Like when we travel, especially when we go through Europe, we end up at some of the same airports and all this, and we have our spots where it's like, we know that this place makes like awesome pastries, or there's this like little grocery store in the Schiphol airport that we always go to and end up getting the same thing. So that's a real thing, especially when you travel. 100%.
But as far as audio goes, the main floor in Munich is sort of like an open air bazaar type thing, sort of like an open air market with just some sort of prefab rooms built into it for people to demo. So there's so much to see there, and every year there's something different. But this year there were more companies selling wire off spools, which was very interesting.
Oh.
Like sort of high-end wire and also connectors. So I guess the goal being that if you want to start up your own cable company.
Oh, interesting. So not even like bulk to consumer. They're kind of doing a B2B type situation.
I didn't even ask because it's not something that's sort of on my radar, but I just was noticing it more and more this year than most, that there's a huge number of wire vendors and connector vendors. So if you ever feel like starting up your own cable company, that's the place to go.
It is actually fascinating the amount of cable companies that are out there. Like I know a few just off the top of my head, and they're the big ones that most people can kind of name. But then you start going through these different websites, or you get into a forum, and it's like every different, I don't know, let's say state in the United States might have its own cable vendor or a cable company. And then you're looking at this and you're like, wow, that's overwhelming to kind of choose through.
So yeah, so this was sort of, and I get approached by a number of them asking me if I would be interested in reviewing their cables, and it's I try to only do one cable review a year because there's just so much work, and it's not an easy task. So I generally just don't say no, thank you, but no thank you. But now I got to see the sort of the man behind the curtain, I guess, to see how where they're getting their wire from, maybe.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Another thing that was that's always forefront is the number of huge gleaming chrome turntables.
Oh yeah,
just like multi-layered sort of gingerbread confections that are just that you just look at and you think that there's no reason for it to be that large other than just the sheer wow factor, which is okay.
Eye candy.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, it's a luxury item, and it's something that that you have to interact with every day on a daily basis, or whenever you use it, you have to physically touch it. So why wouldn't you want it to be a beautiful thing?
That's actually something that Doug Schneider and I talk about from time to time. It's this idea that like whenever you buy something, especially things that other people may seem or think are frivolous, you kind of justify it to yourself in all these different ways. And one of the justifications that I never really hear, but it's totally valid, is like, I just like the way it looks.
Yep.
I like the way it makes me feel.
100%. And I think that is that type of quality. It's not talked about much because everybody says, it's the sound that matters. The sound is the most important thing. Well, no, it's not. It's equal amounts, sheer ooh-ah factor.
Yeah. Well, you got to be excited about whatever you're buying and whatever you're listening to.
Up here in Canada, you can't ride a motorcycle all year round. You can only ride for 6 months out of the year. Yeah. Okay. So a motorcycle is not a form of transportation like it would be if you were in, I don't know, France or somewhere. You can't just buy a motorcycle and that'll be your daily mode of transportation. So it's a luxury item. So the type of motorcycle you buy will be something that you've whenever you walk into your garage and open up, and turn the light on, you look at it, you go, oh yeah, that's the thing I want, even if it's not the most practical thing.
Well, it makes it okay that you're spending money for a full year's of insurance, knowing that you're only going to ride maybe 6 months, more likely 4 or 5 months of those years.
Yeah. So the thing has to appeal to you aesthetically as well as functionally, as far as a motorcycle goes. And the same thing is true in audio, especially with turntables, I believe.
Was there any new turntable companies that you didn't know even existed that you were stumbling into in Munich this time around?
I see them every year. I think it's everybody with a CNC machine and his brother is making turntables these days.
Oh, interesting.
Because basically all you got to really have to do is make a piece of round metal that's, to extremely fine tolerances, and then, a motor to make it spin, right? It's not that hard. Like, I don't want to, put it down. I mean, to actually make a turntable, you just need a really good machine shop. And
then throw on even other company's tone arm and a cartridge, sure, and you're good to go.
Or just make your own tone arm. It's got 2 moving parts.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem that hard when I think about it, but then I think about some of the companies and the tone arms and stuff that I've seen, and they are quite impressive. So
100%. There's brilliance to it, but also if you're a retired machinist and you want to make your own turntable, there's nothing really stopping you, and it's not like it's not a nuclear submarine.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Right. I did see one really cool turntable. I've got an email into the manufacturer. I'm hoping that he doesn't have distribution in North America, which might make things problematic. But it was a company called Holbo, Holbo.
Okay.
And it looks kind of like a plain, rectangular, slightly larger than usual Rega deck with a decent sized acrylic platter on it, but it's air bearing. The air hockey game?
Yeah.
It's like the platter floats on a thin cushion of air.
How does that work? Is that yeah? So, but like, do you hear the air? Like, do you hear the pump going the entire time?
It's a very, very low volume pump, and the tolerances are again machined to extremely fine tolerances. So when you turn on the pump, the platter levitates by like the tiniest fraction of a millimeter.
Yeah.
Or a millimeter, and it floats on that cushion of air. And it's just got a central thing to hold it in place, like a
spindle,
rod.
Something, yeah.
But there's actually no 2 pieces that are really rubbing on each other. There's no actual bearing.
Interesting. Now, does that get rid of the vibrations? Because effectively you're just...
Well, it gets rid of friction. You're just not touching anything, which is, so you'd have lower rumble. Rumble is the sound of a bearing when you've got all of the weight of a platter pushing down on one point.
Yeah.
And it's spinning. That's going to create some what's called, rumble.
Yeah.
And so that gets rid of a large portion of that. There's always the belt and the motor contributing, but it gets rid of all of bearing noise.
That's so
and
cool.
It's cool.
I mean, and this is the thing, like when we're talking price points, is this the ultra category price point, or is this like,
yeah, I think it's like 3,500 euros ish.
Okay.
Well, it's not cheap, but it's not, a lot of stuff there. You add a 0 to that without even breathing hard.
Yeah.
And it also has an air bearing linear tracking arm.
What? That's so cool.
Yeah,
I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, it's like a rod with a sleeve going over it, sort of like I'm making sort of sexy sort of movements with my finger in my fist right now.
Yeah.
And it blows air into the sleeve to keep it floating off of the actual rod.
Okay, that sounds awesome. That's super cool.
They've had them for years. They've had them for a lot. It's always been a thing.
Yeah.
But now with technology marches forward, you have better quality pumps. The problem has always been reliability of the pump and the noise of the thing.
Yeah,
like you want to put the pump in another room. But this guy had one that I could hold it up to my ear and I couldn't hear anything.
That is wild. That is so cool.
Oh, absolutely.
So turntables aside, so we got an idea of like a super cool turntable. Was there anything that you saw from the speaker side of the house that we were kind of like impressed by, or was that was novel, let's say? Yeah,
there was where to begin. So much there. Couple things that I saw that were really cool. International Audio Holdings, which is the company that owns Siltec and Crystal Cable, they're now making their own speaker under the brand name Sphinx, which is a resuscitated brand name that they've owned for a long period of time, and now they've sort of started it back up again. And they're making these really cool speakers that look like something out of The Fifth Element. Really cool looking and excellent sounding too.
We got to see them about a month ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were there.
Yeah, we got to see them. They were awesome, and the head of them, it does kind of resemble the head of the Sphinx and all that stuff. So really cool look. When you hold them or kind of touch them, they also have like a weight to them and a sense of, I don't even know, like they have a presence to them.
Density. There
you go. And that's before you even turn them on. And to your point, I thought they sounded amazing. I'm not a trained ear type person.
Yeah, you know it when you hear it though.
Yeah, it just sounded really cool. So that's cool. I didn't realize, or I guess that would make sense that they would introduce them again or introduce them at Munich.
Yep.
That's
so
cool.
those really turned my crank. Those were fantastic. There was what else? What other speakers did I see? A very, very neat pair of electrostatic speakers, which are always the coolest thing.
They look neat.
I didn't get the name, and they were too physically large for my room, so I didn't really pay them a huge amount of attention. Matt, the young gun who we take with us to
Matt Bonaccio.
Yeah, so we bring him with to figure out the trains.
Yeah. To read the fine print on the apps and stuff like that.
What's this say, Matt? I joke there, but he's a great guy. He's half my age, less than half my age. And you can rib him, and he takes it, but he also gives back as good as he gets.
Perfect.
Which is, and so we've between Doug, him, and me, we've got a pretty good thing going. We work well together. We travel well together, which is important.
Yeah.
But Matt saw a set of interesting speakers. They're nothing dramatic looking. Well, very well finished. But they're made out of something called Panzerholz.
Panzerholz.
Which
sounds like a German tank from World War II or something.
Yes. They're made out of like a kind of a plywoody type material that they used to use, and it's bulletproof, and they used to use it for armor plating on tanks in World War II.
No way. Okay, that is so cool.
Well done.
That's awesome.
And it's very heavy and very dense. It's kind of like a resin impregnated wood or something like that.
Yeah.
And they've used. I've known about it for a long time because they used to use it to make turntable plinths, like the tops for turntables, because of its density and inertness and I guess ability to work it because it is still a wood product. And he saw a really, really cool set of speakers there that were made out of Panzerholz, which was kind of neat.
That is so cool. I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah. And he really liked them. He thought they were great. We got their contact info. Hopefully we'll be able to do something with them. And one other company that was I really quite liked was a fairly new company called SV Audio out of Denmark. And I think it's S-V?
Not SVS, obviously, but another SV.
Yeah, they had a room. They were sharing a room with Vitus Audio.
Oh,
and, I can't remember the cable company name, and I apologize if they're listening for that. But they had a magnificent room, and they had a set of powered woofers towers with right next to it like a full-size floor-standing narrow speaker. But right next to each speaker was a powered woofer tower with 6 8-inch woofers in it, and they were playing techno at an extremely high volume, which is again is different type of music. Something like that really draws me in when I hear something that's extreme or exciting, or just not show music, which we've talked about many times.
Yep.
And those were great. Those were really, really fun. I wrote about them actually on SoundStage Global. I thought those were just the cat's meow.
Actually, that is a good point. I'm going to interject for just a second and say, for anyone listening, there is a huge amount of articles that you yourself, Matt Bonaccio, and Doug Schneider were writing throughout the entire show.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's a lot there.
Yeah, that's the goal. Get everything done and finish it all up by Sunday night.
That's
so
awesome.
we don't have to bring it home with us and then get home and look at your notes and go, oh, I forget. What was that again? You can just go back that same day, or and go check out if you've missed any information. So it really speeds things up and lowers the stress on your coverage.
Love it. Okay, going back to these SV speakers, I just looked up this company. They look wild, and the look of them, and especially with the color choice. I don't know if you saw the ones that are like this almost greenish teal, sparkly color.
They had Lamborghini orange ones there.
Okay, so like even just the look of these things, and I can imagine that color in these things. Techno music would be the choice of music I could imagine these speakers playing well.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And the neat thing was the layout of the room. Physically, it was beautiful too. They had a big white sort of like 1970s shag rug carpet.
Nice.
With the Vetus amps like in the middle, this like squatting there like a bridge troll.
Love it.
And the cables that they used were just like stunning. They were these super thick, anaconda thick, white, sparkly cables, all beautifully dressed. It was a lovely looking room too, which you don't get very often. It's hard to take cables and make a feature out of them, but they did an excellent job.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, the Vetus Audio guys make some really cool looking stuff too. They also have an orange for their amps that was beautiful.
Yes, they do. When I last spoke to them, I asked them about those, and they said, we kind of don't really do those very often. We do a special order because I ride my motorcycle is a KTM, which is Austrian.
KTM orange.
It's KTM. I've underwear, KTM orange
no
underwear.
Way. Oh,
I do.
That's awesome. That's so good.
So whenever I see something that's orange, I'm kind of like drawn
attracted to it naturally,
like a magpie. So yeah, so those speakers were, and I didn't notice they were orange till I went in the room and saw. But and that was another thing. A lot more techno this year than usual.
Oh yeah, yep. Not as much show music.
No, a very good point. Nowhere near as much show music, which is a relief.
Do you think that could be? And I'm just kind of thinking about this. Like, is this a little bit of we talk about this all the time, the changing of the guard from like the old age audiophile personality into kind of a newer, fresher audiophile that might like more than just classical music? Not that there's anything wrong with classical music. I'm just going to say that, but
you know what?
Greater variety.
If when it comes to classical music, there's classical music and then there's heavy metal classical music. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Mahler. So German guy, Gustav Mahler.
No, but I'm going to look him up.
It's 19th century heavy metal.
What?
Yeah, well, it's an intense music. It's intense, and it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. It doesn't. It's music to I guess back in those days, if you were going to get into a bar fight, you'd play Mahler.
Not Dropkick Murphys, but Mahler.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's as to why there's less show music. I don't know. I hope it's just people who are getting sick of it. Yeah. Because there's been a lot of in the press. There's been a fair amount of pushback. I've complained about it everywhere I can. I've read other reviewers who also push back against it. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Maybe it is just the old farts dying.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, here's the thing. Like, and I think about this all the time. We go through a lot of different demos when we travel to different companies, and the ones that are typically the most kind of exciting for me, they might play like a couple songs or whatever, and they're like, listen to these details, because they know those songs highlight some specific aspect that they want to share. But then they're like, what do you want to listen to? Throw in your music. And I think that to me is the most exciting. So even thinking about the shows, it's like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to listen to classical music through an entire demonstration. Like, I want something else.
And when I was in the Sphinx room, the speakers that you saw, there was a couple of younger guys who were sitting in front of me, and they were playing. They asked for 2 tracks. one after the one. One guy asked for one, and then another guy asked for another, and they were some kind of techno music that was fantastic. It was a cross between sort of techno and sort of trancey ambient stuff. And let me, I've got it here. I got a picture on my phone. I grabbed a photo of it because it was really cool. I thought it was quite nice. But they played them back to back, and it's not only was it fun to listen to, but it actually sounded good too on those speakers.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that was a nice surprise. I'm going back in time. I don't know if I still have the photo. I tried to take a photo of his phone. Oh, there it is. It's a band called Tekwan, Tekwan.
Okay. So I'm adding that in as well.
Yeah. Infinite Pathways, I think, was the album. Although Infinite Pathways could be the name of the band, and it might be Tekwan as the album. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well, I'll definitely look it up. I actually, hilariously, my Spotify subscription, the app just stopped working on my phone. So now I have Apple Music. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, until Spotify gets together or until I fall in love with Apple Music, which is not going to happen at this point. So I'll see if they even have it. I'll check.
It was on Tidal. So
there you go. That's even a better one.
I don't know if Tidal has it. Spotify would definitely have it. So, but I don't know about the Apple Music thing.
Yeah, Apple Music is an interesting platform at this point. Okay, so speakers aside, was there electronics that you saw that you were like, all right, this is cool?
Oh yes, one thing.
Yeah,
I was just looking back through my notes. European Audio Team.
Yeah.
Which is first and foremost a turntable manufacturer. They had a really, really neat phono stage, which I'm going to be writing about in my For the Record column, which is coming up on the 15th. It's their E-Glow Balanced, I believe.
Okay.
It's a fully tubed phono stage with eight tubes in it. And it's balanced all the way through, and it has transformers. The step-up transformer is from Lundahl, which is a really, really high-end transformer, and it's an ambitious design, especially in this day and age when it's not easy to make a tubed phono stage. It's much easier to use solid-state gain stages because you got to create so much gain. You're talking minimum 45 decibels of gain, which is huge, and whenever you amplify a stage, you can get noise in there, and tubes tend to be noisier than solid state. So it's easy to do a solid state phono stage, but it's not easy to do a tube one. And this one's really ambitious, and I'm really interested in getting this one in for review.
I don't know if I'm looking at the right one. I'm looking on their website right now, but what I'm looking at, it's called the EAT E-Glow FB phono stage.
That's it.
Okay, this looks super cool.
Yeah.
You have your KTM orange. I like the greens. Mm-hmm. The green highlights on this is like top notch. Love it.
And here's the cool factor. It's got a switch so you can change the lights that illuminate the tubes.
No way. That's super cool.
So that's
this is the eye candy stuff that we were going back to.
Yeah.
Does it add anything to the audio quality? Nope. No. Is it cool? Is it fun to look at when you're enjoying your music? 100%.
Back in the late 90s, when I recall there was a thing about LEDs. Like you would change your LED on your preamp from green to blue because blue LEDs sound better.
Oh, there you go.
Just for the power light. It was just one of those things that was a little bit of a
hidden secret to unlock the full potential of your audio system.
An old wives' tale, I think, a bit more. But yeah, no, it's that phono stage that really grabbed my attention. And over the last while, I just reviewed an EAT turntable, their Fortissimo S.
Okay.
Which is I think we gave it an award for our year-end awards, and it's a fantastic unit. So I've been impressed by everything I've tried from them. And actually, when I go to this summer, I'm going to go to Vienna to visit Project.
Oh, nice.
And Project and European Audio Team have a quite close relationship, so I'm hoping to be able to check out the facility of both companies.
Oh, that'd be super, super cool. From your perspective, what do you see as maybe the future of high end after it moves into Vienna, or maybe shows in general? Like, if this show doesn't go well next year in Vienna, do you think there's going to be another show that takes its place, or shows as relevant today and going forward as they have been in the past?
I think we're definitely due for some form of consolidation. There's and I believe we talked about this last year, and there's too many regional shows.
Yeah,
you can't cover them all. B, is there any manufacturers have to spend a ton of money trying to keep up with these if they're gonna, and I think it's not so much that they feel they have to be there. I think they feel they can't afford not to be there if other companies are. But all these regional shows, they're for consumers, and I'm just not sure how much of a benefit there is for the manufacturers. For consumers, it's fantastic, because I mean, if you live in you live in Vancouver, okay, now you want, and a show comes up in Vancouver, you're going to go to it if you're an audiophile, and you're going to be thankful and thrilled to be able to attend this, even if it is, like a tenth of the size of Munich. But there's too many of them, and I think that there's going to have to be some kind of reckoning, especially if the world sort of falls into a recession, which
looking pretty likely,
which may end up happening. And depending upon how the world turns and what happens, I'm not sure how many American shows there are going to be.
Interesting.
Unless it's going to be mostly American manufacturers
companies at the American shows.
Then it makes a lot of sense. And actually, putting it that way, maybe there will be all of those shows, because now you're stuck.
Yeah. It's almost, and it's kind of this like reverse kind of expansion where people are going to be going more regional based. Canadians are kind of lucky in that sense, where Canadians seem to be, for the most part, getting along with everyone throughout the world. So we seem to get the best of all the different options that are out there. But that's a really good point.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to change things. I think Vienna, if all Vienna really needs is a facility, right? These the people who organize the Munich show, the high end show, they've really got it together. It's an incredibly well run event. They've got a great press room where you can just go sit and only press, and they, it's Germany, so they check your badges everywhere you go.
They follow the rules.
They follow the rules, and you can go into the press room, and there's sort of a bottomless bowl of candy in the middle of every table, and cappuccinos and waters to your heart's content. So everything seems incredibly well run. So I'd imagine just changing their location shouldn't change too much, so long as the venue is decent.
Yeah.
So that I don't foresee any issues with it. I just saw in a article that Munich was voted the most walkable city in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it definitely had that going for it. So I don't know what Vienna's going to be like. Probably good also.
My impressions of Vienna are actually, like, when I think of Vienna, I think of music halls. I think of like orchestras and stuff like that. I don't know if that's a fair assessment, or if that's just, I don't know, something that I saw years ago and it's just stuck with me. But it seems like the city of music and all that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be lovely. So I think that's going to keep going. That'll keep going. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't succeed. There's Warsaw, which is also quite big. I'd say it's about half to 2/3 the size of Munich, which is also pretty big. So that I don't see that stopping, because it's a great venue for all of the sort of the Baltic states and all of the smaller companies that can't make it to Munich. All of those people, all those turntable manufacturers who are just doing it in their back in the shed.
Yeah,
that's they can afford Warsaw, but maybe not Munich. So I can see that continuing on. And then I don't know, regional shows maybe there's going to be a consolidation. Maybe there won't. I don't see much changing other than the threat of a recession and what that might do to the industry.
Interesting. Do you find, or can you imagine yourself like checking out one of the shows in an Asian country, like a China show or a Japanese show?
Yeah. I believe Doug has been to the Hong Kong show.
I think he mentioned that one, and I think he's gone to the Japanese one. I know he's been to Japan. I don't know if he's been to the Japanese show, but I think that's coming up in October.
Yeah, that would be fun to do. October, that pretty much coincides with Warsaw, so I guess we'd have to make a decision
maybe that's what
on
it
that.
was. Yeah.
But it would certainly be fun to do. That would be a really cool event to check out. And again, that whole section of the world is sort of like a blind spot for me. I never really sort of turn my gaze to look over there because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely worth looking at, especially I guess everyone's going to be kind of sitting and waiting to see how the kind of move from high end in Munich to high end in Vienna is going to go. So maybe another show does kind of come up and become more attractive to kind of spend resources on and navigate to.
Yeah, I'm reasonably confident that Vienna will work well. And again, a change is good, right? I mean, it's everybody goes to Munich. They all go to the same spot and they eat the same sandwiches. And
you're going to have to find a new sandwich spot.
I'm going to have to find a new sandwich guy. Just an aside here, though. When I go to Vienna. So when I go to visit Project and Siltech, I'm actually going to land in Munich again and then take the train down from there. So I get to have one last sandwich.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love the trips planned around sandwiches.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's going to work. I think, like I said, I think Vienna's going to work well. I don't have any real concerns over that or see any reason why it wouldn't.
Well, in about a year from now, we're going to have you back on, and in between there as well. But definitely a year from now, we'll have you back on and we'll see how high-end 2026 in Vienna went.
Yeah. And of course, you'll be able to see the coverage at SoundStage Global.
Ooh, that too. Yeah, there's a lot of coverage that's out for this year's show, and next year's show is going to be widely covered as well. I am guessing here, educated guess.
Yeah, we really spam that. I was going back and having a look at the coverage that we wrote for Munich, and there's a lot of it.
There's articles nonstop. I was talking to Doug about something else, and he's like, "Sorry, man, gotta go. Like, gotta upload articles." So just nonstop. Yeah,
we got into a good groove with it this year because me and Matt just chug it out, and then Doug has to spend pretty much all his time, processing this stuff, and we got a pretty good thing going. It went very smoothly this year, especially with our back end editing group with Gordon Brockhouse, who receives all the articles, pre-reads them, pre-edits them. Gets the copy back to Doug. Doug then takes his own photos and although Matt did some photos this year. Nice. And then it goes on, and then he posts them online, and then it goes to our proofreading group, who then goes through them with a fine tooth comb. And it really works. It's a slick process, and it's incredibly professional.
Yeah. Shout outs to all the people that make all of these articles happen on the SoundStage Network, because there is a lot.
Oh yeah.
So with that, let's close it off. And you already gave me a couple cool bands / songs to listen to. But to wrap up with our standard question, is there any other music that you've been listening to lately that you're like, man, this rocks, or this is cool?
Yeah, I've actually sort of regressed a bit to back to my late 20s, early 30s, and I'm listening to Thomas Dolby.
Ooh.
If you listen to one song by Thomas Dolby from it's I Scare Myself.
Okay.
It's a wonderful song, and the whole album from that is good. I Scare Myself and Dissidents.
Love it. I'm gonna add them not to my Spotify list, but to my Apple Music list and see what happens. Let me know
what you think.
Love it. Will do. Jason, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it, and all the best.
Okay, thank you, sir.